Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Between the Covers. My name is Bradley Shaw, and joining us this evening is John Camillo, author of The Orphan and the Albatross. John, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Bradley.
I noticed you're playing with the camera. Are you okay there? You got yourself centered?
Yep. Yep.
Happy? Good, mate. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us and do tell us more about The Orphan and the Albatross. Where are you going? Stay in the camera.
There are a couple of things. I've got copies of some of the illustrations behind me, but I'm blocking the view.
Oh, on the wall. Yeah. I see what you're doing. Sorry, I thought you were. Oh, yeah, I thought you were playing a lift. There you are. Yes. Your illustrator. Tell us about him. He was fantastic. It was Dominic or Dominica, or is it? What was the name of the illustrator?
Demi Orphanatus.
Demi Orphanatus.
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful illustration.
It was a bit of a fluke. I found her on the internet, and she was available and happy to do the job, and I looked at a couple of her first drawings, and they're kind of like the anime. There's a style to them, isn't there?
Yeah, no,
I wasn't sure about that, but in the end, I'm happy with them.
She did a great job for you. No, I really enjoyed it. That's why we use them. I think keeping them incorporated into the book's value is really important. She's made a good contribution. So tell us more about the book from the writing perspective too, for you, for The Orphan and the Albatross. Tell us more about your inspirations, your
I can do that. Every book I've ever written is like a portal, and it takes you in and takes you into another place and often another time. Like Coleridge is the year 1800. Thereabouts, the Romantic poets. So when you read what he's written in 1800, you go through this gateway and you're there, and you're experiencing the thoughts that were driving him at the time, his inspiration and his work, and I find that fascinating. It's like time travel.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. You're going back in state, definitely. Yeah.
Yes. And every book you ever read does something similar. It takes you to another time. It takes you to another place. It confronts you with ideas that you hadn't considered. And it kind of has an influence on your evolution.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so every one of us, you included, every one of us becomes unique because our makeup includes all those things that have influenced us through books.
Yeah.
I was watching a thing
movies,
called...
like kids don't realise they actually came from books. Movies are
a
book.
Do.
Yeah, so everything evolves from words.
It's just another format.
I get it. That's it. Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Yeah. So you gave homage in your story creation from that poem, from influences in that period of that artist as well.
Yeah. The beauty of the Romantic poets was their ability to create visual images. Yeah. And I was asked as a student teacher, I was given a copy of this book, this poem, told to go to the year 9, 35 year 9 students and teach them something about the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Okay. This is 1965.
Yeah.
And
that would have went down well.
It went down like a lead balloon.
Yeah, they would have looked at you like, what?
Yeah, that's right. The Beatles were popular at that time, and they were growing long hair, and they definitely weren't interested in the pedagogy, in the method of a teacher versus them. They always won. But what happened, it had an influence on me, because I read the thing over and over, and I thought, man, this is insane. And for those 40, 50 years, it's lingered in the background as something I wanted to translate into prose, to see what difference it might make. So that was the origin of the idea.
And so that time frame from 1965 till now was the process of your writing?
Yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's fantastic. So
I've written it a dozen times. I've tried it a dozen times, and it's evolved. And eventually it became necessary in my mind to top and tail what happens in the poem. And that's why you have the story of Tommy, the little boy who survives the Great Fire of London and becomes a stowaway on a pirate ship, blah, blah, blah. That leads into, he becomes the character who is the ancient mariner ultimately. So,
and it's a gorgeous story.
I hope it works.
No, it does. It does work really well.
I hope somebody who opens that portal and comes through will have a worthwhile experience.
I believe they will. So for everyone watching too, by the way, if I can make a quick plug, this book is available in May everywhere books are sold. So please go to your local bookstores and grab a copy for this book. You won't regret it. So John, tell me more about your writing style. You write every day. You write regularly. Do you set yourself hours? Do you have scheduled, or is it just a thing you do as when you feel in the moments too? Like, tell us about your writing process.
Well, the idea was dormant for a lot of years, and was only once I gave up working full time that I had time to devote to it. Meanwhile, my head's full of, like everybody who's as grey as I am, a lot of experiences and lots of things that have made you think seriously about why the hell you're here and what you're supposed to be doing. So there's a lot of raw material in the background, and so
there's a lot more books coming. Is that what you're saying? A lot more projects in the works?
Sure is, Brad. As you'll find out.
So did you find that writing energizes you, or it exhausts you? How do you find the creative process for you?
It enlivens me. I have this. I was born as an English teacher of English, and the people who taught me were very influential. One in particular, a great scholar. He hated me because I didn't rate highly as an intellect in his view, but his influence on me over time has been immense. And so today, my shelves have books on linguistics, the origins of the English language, and how it absorbed influences from all sorts of other languages, and how rich it is. It's a predator. It lands on other languages and takes things from them. It's been a magnificent awakening. And so today, as an old person, I tend to be a pedant, as you found out. My interest in punctuation, for example. So the whole thing about language is the purification of thought through language. And so the beauty of writing is that your first thought or your first sentence is just the beginning, because it's not perfect. And so you find ways of clarifying, of finding the essence of what you're trying to say, and editing and editing and editing. So this process, that's why I find it enlivening, because in the end, you have to stop and say, that's enough. I think I think that's as good as I can.
That's it. You can keep editing for the rest of your life on something. You've got to stop and put a line in the sand and say, you know what, it's a good product, it's a good read, and and just let the next phase of it happen and exist in the world for readers. So otherwise, you drive yourself crazy. I can guarantee you.
Yeah. So offering the world clarity.
Yeah.
I used to have apprenticed fitters and turners in my classes in communication skills. And I can recall them being, well, these are kids who are thrown out of high school and ended up being apprentices, right? You're no good with your hands, your head, son. You might be good with your hands. Go and get an apprenticeship. And my job was to teach them communication skills. So you can imagine the hostile environment I walked into for the very first sessions.
Quite an experience.
Eventually, they would get the idea and they did get the idea that if language is the vehicle of thought, and you use language with precision, you will be thinking with precision. And this is the thing that got them. If you're thinking with precision, no bugger is going to cheat you.
Yeah. Because
you'll be onto them.
Yeah. You'll be consciously
That's
acting.
The beauty of language. So
it is.
You take that and you put it becomes the basis of writing. You're looking for clarity. You're looking for precision, because the likelihood, when you and I sit and talk, the likelihood of us understanding each other is remote. Unless we're very, very attentive and very, very careful. There's no white noise in the room, and we really maybe we'll understand each other. And we're using language.
That's right. There's no other form, really. Even a body language is still a language, even though it's silent. I agree.
Yeah, there's a matrix.
Yeah. So tell us, so you process, this is your first book, or there's several books you've attempted before?
My first book is a book of poems based on my travels around the countryside. When I retired, I bought myself a motorbike, survived the first couple of months with all the doing all the wrong things. And anyway, as it turned out, I did a lot of trips around Tasmania, from here to Perth and back, up through Queensland to Darwin and back, with a couple of like-minded idiots. And a lot of the things that I thought about along the way and the things that I saw, I crystallised in a book of poetry that probably you guys will get to publish at some point.
Sure, that'd be great. But the thing is too, you've said there that you were retired when you wrote that, so you really just started writing later in your life. You didn't really see much in that creative phase early on. And did you delve into thoughts of writing before, or was it just a matter of
I always
it was just time. It was just
I've got a filing cabinet full of silly thoughts.
I know the feeling.
But most of my life was involved with making a living and raising the kids and not going insane. To the point where you're disabled. But so after all that was done, suddenly time arrived when I could use writing. And there's no economic urgency. It's pure. Well, I hope it's pure art.
You just indulge it. Just enjoy the enjoyment of the craft.
So I can concentrate on that. The business side of things is up to you.
Thanks. So the story, the orphan and the albatross, was it difficult? Did you have to do more research? Was there more processes involved in that book because it was already based on a premise of a poem? How did you evolve that story? Tell us about the creation of that for you.
Well, I just read it and started transposing it into prose.
So you just sort of got the pictures.
And I've kept, as you see in the book, I've kept a couple of quotes that most people will recognise but won't know where they came from. Like water everywhere and all the boards did shrink. everyone's heard water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. Most people have heard that at some stage.
Yep.
Don't know where it came from. It comes from that.
Wow.
So there are little things like that I've retained, but the idea was to try and be as graphic in the description of his experiences, the character's experience in prose, looking for a new audience, looking for today's audience.
Yeah.
And if there is one, and I hope there is one, and those people who go through the Orphan and the Albatross will head off to Coleridge and they'll read the original thing, and then they'll realise that, gee, the original is much better than them.
That's right. So do your family support you through this process? Obviously the long task and that, have they known about your writing and supported you?
Yeah, there is a degree of tolerance.
Degree of tolerance. Is it high or is it low? High tolerance.
Varies. I have good cover.
So for you as well, like obviously previously before retirement it was time, but after retirement and as you got into the routine and the passion of writing, what were the challenges you experienced in the artistic process? Was there any difficulties you came across, writer's block or challenge? Tell us about it.
Because there's no urgency to produce for the publisher to satisfy a market, I treat those times when I don't write as simply waiting for the next part of the story to reveal itself.
Yeah.
So I don't feel any sense of frustration on that level.
Yeah.
Because I know the story will. So what I do is I go back and I read what I've already written and I edit. And as that happens, other things reveal themselves in the process. And so the next part of the thing emerges. So in a sense, the writer is a scribe.
Yep.
Inspiration is something that comes, and then the artist, it's like you put a block of stone in front of a sculptor and he'll look at it for a while and think, well, there's something in there. I might see if I can find it.
Yeah, that's right.
And away he goes. Yeah.
So do you write regularly? Like, do you have hours set a day? Do you have a timeline? Yeah. Do you set yourself goals? Like you want a certain chapter or a certain phase or a certain thing done?
No, I don't. No? I'm not a person that likes a lot of structure.
Yep.
So if I've got a couple of days at my disposal, I'll spend a few hours in the mornings.
Yep.
And then break for lunch and maybe half a movie or something, and then another couple of hours in the afternoon.
Yep.
I just take it a bit casually.
That's just
but it's something I love to do because it kind of the mind is always learning something and refining.
Yeah. You wish it would turn off sometimes. You just had an off switch. You just like pause.
It's a bit frustrating. That's right. Like if, for example, I sit down in front of commercial television for any longer than half an hour, I go crazy.
Oh God,
with the mediocrity.
I know. I know. I was watching commercial television the other day, and I was just like, "How is this happening?" I don't know. It was weird, but I know.
See, we're up against that big. Now it's big screen.
Yeah.
A big window that every person has, either in every room in the house or in the major room, and the stuff coming through that is just so polluting, toxic.
Yeah. And it's even on your phones, unfortunately, too. Like in your hands, you take your TV with you now. It's like, oh my God, I don't know how people do it.
Anyway,
take a book, carry a book with you.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So tell me, like the process of writing and creating. What do you value out of that? What gives you the enjoyment that you seek? Is it the creation of language? Is it the interpretation? Is it the scribing and chiseling away? Or is it the finished product? Like, what's your motivations in the writing process?
Yeah. It's, as we were talking about earlier, It's the clarification. It's the purification of ideas, the refining of thought, and the crystallizing. It's like what happens when you go to the dentist and he chips the plaque off your teeth.
Yeah.
And you run your tongue over your freshly cleaned teeth, and it feels so nice. You don't want to eat because it's going to spoil it.
Yeah.
Well, what happens in the writing process is that the plaque is chipped off your mind in a way.
Yep.
And so you're thinking with such refreshing clarity. Now, it becomes frustrating when you have to deal with the fact that you might be the only one in your whole environment that has this pleasure out of it. But it's what motivates you and keeps you going. Me going anyway.
Do you have those writer moments where you write something and you're sort of in the zone and you're really not conscious of what you're writing, but you go back and read it and you go, holy crap, that is really good. Like, you really give yourself that, wow, like, I really like what I wrote there and I didn't even realize I did it.
Even better. you stop writing and you let the story tell itself.
It just goes there. Where's that going? Okay.
Follow it, and you follow it, and it's the best thing that you've done in months.
I know, it's good fun. Yeah, it's great to be in that zone when you suddenly you feel the story within you, like you're immersed in it yourself as much as a reader. No, it is good. So tell me, do you have any other quirks? Like when you're writing, do you have any quirks? Like, some people write naked, they write in bare feet. Some people have to sit in a certain position. Some people have to be in a certain seat, chair, use a certain pen. What would you say is your writer's quirk?
Thank you for those ideas.
Just don't keep your clothes off now, all right? Keep those on. This is a PG rated show, all right?
I don't like handwriting anymore. I can only write on the keyboard, and I like the ABC FM classical music in the background, because it's not intrusive. It doesn't drag you away from what you're doing. It kind of creates a very pleasant environment within which you can write mostly. There's not a lot of talking. So I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
But no, look, the thing is, Bradley, anyone can do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing special. There's not about the writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I've listened to interviews with songwriters, authors, painters, and so often they say, I don't know where the idea came from.
Just there.
It came, and what happens is that I grabbed it. I grabbed the idea. Like, again, go back to the sky. Grab that block of stone and start hammering into it.
That's it.
But you have there's a lot of hammering. The inspiration might be there in the block of stone, but the work of art doesn't happen until you apply the sweat.
Yeah.
And
that's where a lot of people give up as well.
Same with writing. I think most people have moments of inspiration.
Yeah.
I call them flashes.
Yeah.
Like, how often have you sat in a group and they've all been sitting around trying to think of the next big idea so they can make $1 million?
Yeah, I did that this morning. Yeah.
Good. Tell me about it later. I
got notes.
It's been said that good ideas are tuppence a ton.
Yeah.
For those who know what tuppence is.
Tuppence
a ton, good. But it's those who take an idea and apply themselves to it.
Yeah.
And that's where the work is. And all artists, whether they're writers or songwriters or painters or sculptors, they're the ones who grab a flash of inspiration and then apply the hard work to it until it becomes a work of art.
Absolutely. So would you say that'd be some advice or part of the advice you would give young aspiring writers if they're looking at saying, oh, I want to write that book, I want to write the story? You think that's what it's about? It's about putting in those hard yards, about understanding that it's not just, it's not just a gift as much as it is a curse to apply the dedication and commitment to the process of the words and the language.
Start writing, and the more you write, the better you get. Like
absolutely,
everything that we do that happens.
And work with peers. I agree. Work with peers, people who have written, have experience, have editing experience, have education that you don't have. Learn things from the groups and cycles. I agree. So from that point of view, so people watching, John, what would you hope they're going to take away from this book, the Albatross, the Orphan and the Albatross? What is it you would hope a reader will experience in this story?
A whirlwind of pleasure as they come through the portal.
The portal again, yes.
There it is. Well, that's what it is.
Well, that's great. So everybody watching, please enter John's portal.
Be nice.
Be delicate and careful, but enter at your own risk. But no, really, this book is awesome.
Got to be careful of ego, Bradley.
Yes, ego is a killer.
Here's something you can have for nothing. The whole exercise, in my mind, is to get the I out of ego.
Yep.
You have to think about that one.
Yeah, you do.
You have to have a strong sense of self.
Yep.
To survive in any case.
Yep.
But if you start being involved too much with yourself, then perspective goes. You're closed off from a whole lot of worthwhile influences.
Yeah,
because you're looking in the mirror all the time.
Yeah.
So ego's, it's a two-edged sword. You've got to have it, but you've got to control it.
Absolutely. Don't let it control you. I agree.
So this is not about, in a big sense, this book is not about me. It's about it.
That's right. Yeah, and about the reader's impression, about giving that, that sharing that experience with them.
Yes,
it becomes
it's all about them. And I never ask anyone who's read stuff that I've offered them, I never ask what they think.
Yeah.
Because that's too dangerous. If they don't like it, I'm going to go and stick my head in the oven.
Yeah,
if they do like it, I get a swollen head.
That's right.
You got to.
That's right. Being objective to yourself and objectifying yourself in the sense of, yes, you've written something, but you have to have a release mechanism that says it's free to the world's interpretation. It's not mine anymore. Exactly. And you have to accept that. And that's, as a publisher, I have to work with authors on that level a lot to really see that they're not actually creating their book. They're actually creating someone else's book. They've told their story, but now it's their book. Their other event is the next phase.
And because what they see, what the reader sees when he comes through the portal of that book is going to be completely individual.
Absolutely.
And unpredictable.
Yeah. Well, they say books speak to readers. Like readers will choose books that talk to them first. So like when you're in a bookstore and you've got 1,000 books on a book, like in a bookshelves around you, readers generally are drawn to some mystery or some influence of that book coming to them, and then they read it and there's a reason in it. So it's a strange thing of serendipity, I guess you'd call it, but books have a very, very strong message for different people. So,
yes.
Get different things out of it.
Oh, so, yes, and that's what evolution is.
Yeah.
And that's why books continue to be very important to people.
I agree. Absolutely.
It's a new generation. It's another dimension of variables that become involved in the next generation of readers.
Absolutely. And for everybody watching, John's running a class on the spiritual philosophies and physicalities of books after this video. So please feel free to log into his personal channel. I live in a portal. So, but anyway, John, it's great talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Everybody watching, please grab a copy of John's book. Enjoy what he's created because it is wonderful, and take that interpretation for yourself and experience it. It is great. Also support local businesses, local small bookshops around your area, or buy the book online. So it is available as of 15th of May. So John, congratulations on the book. We look forward to the feedback and the reader's enjoyment. But thank you for sharing your story with us.
Been a big pleasure.
So Good night, John. Good night, everybody watching, and we will talk to you again soon. Now.